I'm thinking of what you said, trying to draw a contrast between what happened in the Niger Delta and what we're getting to see here now. And we saw how they openly laid down their arms. And even there was an ultimatum, an extension. And let's look at the camps in the Niger Delta and liken it to cells of Boko Haram. Each camp actually, gradually embraced the amnesty program. Do you think we're getting to see that with Boko Haram? Because Nigerians are still very skeptical about the ceasefire. If you go through what people send in, comments people make up there on the streets, they're not comfortable that Boko Haram has kept its own side of the bargain.
Everybody have a role to play. I've always been saying that. What got us to where we are today was because the people are not mobilized against the threat facing the security of lives and property. If the government come out to say they're having ceasefire and Boko Haram say we're ready to negotiate, and the 60 million Nigerians are not doing their own part in becoming vigilant, in taking responsibility for their own security, because we've dumped that. We are not doing anything about that, and that is where we are coming back to. The last thing I don't want us to do is that after Boko Haram dropped their fire, then we had another people coming out to say they are Boko Halal, and we're now going around in circle for another 10 years of fighting another group. Al-Qaeda is a threat to United Kingdom and United States. They are still fighting them till today. Up till about 2 weeks ago, arrest is still being made. At the back of the people of United Kingdom and United States, they know that every minute there are people who are planning, willing to blow up things to cause mayhem. There are people who want to wait outside their barrack and cut off the head of one of their soldiers who is off duty.
Yet they're making.
And when you get to their airport,
they're making significant progress.
1 second.
Isn't it?
Yeah, they're making progress. When you get to their airport, the port of entry, you start seeing signs warning you about terrorism. In their schools, they are running programs with their children. In their churches, in their mosques, there are other things going on that carry everybody, every member of the populace along. At the moment, the only group that is active, or the only wing of Nigeria that is active in fighting terrorism, are the military, thinking that we can use fire to quench another fire. We cannot do that. It's water you use to quench fire. One is mild and friendly, the other one is unfriendly. So until...
All of a sudden, we've come back to the water type, because I recall when the former president suggested carrot and stick approach. And loads of people like yourself, security experts, also said the carrot and stick. But some said, no, we should go with the stick. But you say we should have gone that way.
We should have gone that way. You cannot fight people you don't see. Terrorism or extremism is a mindset thing. You don't know who wants to blow up things as we're speaking now. You don't know who is planning what. You don't know the number of weapons that have coming through our border today. So if you are now saying that you want to use, you can see in the last 50, 60 days, the useless, what we call our military capability. At a time, for almost 2 to 3 weeks, the military actually came out to say, look, we don't have enough weapons to fight these people. And you were here when they now came out about 2 weeks ago to say, now we have weapons to fight these people. And I think if you corroborate that with the type of military action that followed, which now led to what we are calling negotiation today, the people that were saying, well, let us use the stick approach, we want to be healing themselves.
But the other question here, if I could jump in, I hope you don't lose your train of thought.
Yeah.
Are we also, maybe the politicians, are we paying enough attention? Are we equipping our security agencies enough?
No, we're not. We're not equipping our security agencies enough. Giving weapons and ammunitions and vehicles to people is not enough to fight.
And this is during the war.
Yeah.
Which is supposed to happen before. So that they get used to the equipment.
Yeah. We will come back to that. It's one of the things we will be looking at now, that we have just certain group of people that can hold what we call our military. We're not having threat from outside now. It is just some faction of people that are able to bring us to our knees. So what happens if Republic of Benin, Cameroon, or whatever decide to fight war against us tomorrow? We don't even know where we're going to face, and that is a different ball game for what a defense minister or a future or aspiring defense minister should be looking at, to build a robust weaponry. But coming back to terrorism, which is not a Nigerian problem alone, it's a global phenomenon. It is time for us to start using the greatest weapon against threat to security of lives and property, which is mindset. Until we go back to that, until I'm able to indoctrinate children as little as 6 years old to know that being vigilant is also part of their responsibility.
Let me jump in again, and pardon me for that. I mean, when you talk about terrorism, and then maybe if countries or amongst ourselves there's a scuffle, isn't it two different things? Because when you speak about terrorism, you have other groups who are funding certain groups. So that will give certain advantages and all of those. But in terms of capability and capacity, are we learning enough lessons to see that we do the right things and get our security agencies, all of them now, prepared for whatever comes up?
Somebody needs to do that assessment. What we seem to be having in Nigeria is that our security forces always do the assessment of themselves and come out with something we call white paper and present it to the president. And the president will say, now we've got white paper on from the police, we've got white paper from the military. It shouldn't be done that way. You cannot assess yourself.
No, that hasn't always been this case. Because we understand you've done some kind of research with the police in times past, but we've also seen even the Human Rights Watch and some other bodies try to look at activities of our forces, and this is not a paper from the military or even from the police or DSS. So outsiders have over the years done an assessment of these agencies.
And what they come up with?
It's not about what they came up with, because you were of the opinion now that you don't assess yourself. That's why I'm trying to point that out to you, that that's not entirely correct.
Whatever the outcome of their assessment, or from whatever position they are carrying out their assessment, you see, the final product should be the judge. Do you understand? Whether you are good or not, when you get to your field, the only thing we're asking them to do now is protect lives and property. Now you be the judge. Is lives and property being protected?
You think it's not being protected?
I think enough is not being done. I think more could be done. Do you understand? So that we don't go back to the stage where we are now.
So it's not entirely correct to say nothing is done, right?
It's not entirely correct. A lot of capacity building project is going on. A lot of money has been spent.
You know what I'm taking
and
this
I want
argument.
to say to you, let me say this to you.
Go ahead.
That the Nigerian police are not where they used to be 10 years ago. I can assure you of that. A lot has changed. Even for me as a citizen of Nigeria.
For the better?
Sorry?
A lot has changed for the better?
A lot has changed for the better. I don't know the yardstick you are using for your own assessment, but don't forget you are not an expert.
What yardstick did you use?
Sorry?
What yardstick did you use?
The yardstick I use, one, is to first go into the police counter and police stations to see how they are dealing with threats to security and lives and property. I used the airport. I used the road. I know that as a journalist, you have a lot of stick that you want to use to say, this is wrong, that is wrong, that is wrong. But one thing I just want you to know,
even lawyers will tell
lawyers, okay.
For genuine criminal cases, you get to the counter, and the experience you have.
I have that every day. Every single day, I have to step in to do one of those. But there was a time when we cannot even step in at all. Don't forget that. And you know, out of the 30 or 31 days we have in a month, if we have 24 days of peace and tranquility and 6 days of chaos and mayhem, you will agree with me that it is wrong for us to use 6 days to judge 24 days.
I think now that has brought us back to my own argument. Sorry, I had to let you go with that train of thought because I really don't want to lose my... when you say we're trying to measure what has been done and what hasn't actually been done, for a lot of Nigerians, I'm going to ask if you also think that way, that all of a sudden we realized that we were making some inroads, some incursion and great success by the military against the Boko Haram sect, leading us to this particular discussion for a ceasefire. Some are of the opinion that now that they were able, let's use the word of some military people, to pound the insurgents and move them out of our territories to some extent, we shouldn't have backed down for any kind of negotiation. We should have taken it all out to the end.
Okay. I tried to look to assess the comment of the Chief of Defense Staff. I monitored it closely, and I think it would be wrong for us to assume that the military has backed down. Professionally, they can say they backed down, but they did not. Their men are still out there. Intelligence is still being gathered. I want to say it would be disastrous for us to say that they are not gathering intelligence. Do you understand? So intelligence is still being gathered. They've had people that they've arrested. They are interrogating them. And I want to believe that currently they have robust intelligence that they will use to do a better pounding, in your words. But what I'm saying is that pounding or no pounding does not really determine. You can pound Al-Qaeda from the air, from the sea, from the underground, from the above ground till tomorrow. But that does not mean another IS will not spring up and still bring the whole world back to their knees.
I think we're getting the argument. No, we're getting the argument wrong here. We're talking about.
I think let me narrow it down.
No, sorry, a moment, because we have had, criticisms against our military before now. How some would say they haven't actually done enough. Some would say they haven't been fantastic. Then we'll woke up someday and we'll realize that they were on top of their game. Shouldn't we also be looking at all of that vis-a-vis the question Chamberlain has asked, that we should better equip them further than what they had?
I want to believe that the government has started the process of that. We have weapons came in and we have planes flying, carrying money to go and buy more weapon. We saw all that in the newspaper and the government trying to defend themselves. Don't let us go into that. But now, what I think we should realize, my line of argument is that whether the government is able, the military is able to pound them successfully and continue to pound them successfully is not something that has been practiced in any other part of the world that led to complete success. You cannot use fire to quench another fire. It is easy for a layman to say, crush them, pound them, kill them. But that doesn't work. It's a mindset thing, and we should start working on the mindset of the general public to fight. We are in an advanced world where a video clip on somebody's mobile phone can save thousands of lives if it is sent to the right direction. Now, if you feel unconcerned about security, suddenly you just saw some activities going on around where you live, and you feel unconcerned, you don't inform the authority. If it goes bad and it becomes issues with lives, a threat to security of lives and properties, and a lot of lives are ended up being destroyed, then you should be able to blame yourself, not the government. And I want to, what I'm just trying to advocate is that let the government start the project of mobilizing, indoctrinating, and helping members of the public to know what they need to do in order to help them secure their lives and properties.
We'll examine that school of thought of yours a little further when we return in terms of using fire to quench fire. So please join us again.